A spike in the area, and it's possible that the heightened level of COVID-19 could affect other viruses to act in an atypical fashion. Well, one of those viruses is the norovirus, and joining us now this morning is Nurse Christina Paris from the VA. Good morning, Christina.
Hi, good morning.
And we're so happy to talk with you this morning. And now this is something that I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard of. In fact, myself, I have not. So just to start off, tell us what the norovirus is.
Sure. So the norovirus is what a lot of people might think of as the stomach flu or a stomach bug. It's actually something that can cause a lot of nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. It actually affects 19 to 21 million people every year. And usually the spike is higher in March. However, we still have active cases in our area. So, people don't want to let their guard down. And I think we did such a good job last year about, more people have said, I was never sick. But now that, we're getting vaccinated and people are taking off masks, we're sort of letting our guard down. And now colds and other viruses such as the norovirus are kind of starting to come back.
Wow, that's really interesting. I know a lot of attention has been drawn away from other viruses, but if you do end up catching this virus, what symptoms should you look out for?
So you're going to have a lot of watery diarrhea, vomiting, and nausea. Really, you could have really bad stomach pains, fever, headaches, body aches, and it can last, unfortunately, for days to weeks. And so you really want to watch for dehydration. That's going to be a big key thing that could lead to a hospitalization. So those signs and symptoms, you're going to watch for decreased urination, a dry mouth and throat. If you feel dizzy when you stand up, if you have these other symptoms, those could be signs of dehydration.
Oh, wow. Now, I know now I want to know, is there a specific way that norovirus is transmitted to people?
So it's transmitted by cross-contamination, so touching a surface that might have had a little particle on it. We heard a lot with the COVID virus about coughing and how these little particles can spread in the air. Well, the same thing, if you have a lot of vomiting and diarrhea, you may spread these into the air. And it only takes, you shed billions of noroviruses, particles when you're sick, and it only takes a few to make somebody else sick. So eating contaminated food, touching or drinking contaminated water. If the person who's sick is not doing a really good job of washing their hands and then they're touching surfaces or they're touching food, that can cause it.
Well, that's really interesting. So how can we prevent norovirus? And, if we do end up getting ill, how should we treat it?
So the biggest prevention, the same things again that we were doing with the coronavirus. You want to wash your hands often, rinse foods and vegetables, cook shellfish thoroughly, and stay home if you're sick. And stay home for 2 days, up to 2 days after the symptoms stop. And avoid going to work, especially if you work in the hospitality field where you're cooking for others. You want to stay away from that. Unfortunately, there's really no treatment because, again, this is a virus. So antibiotics do not work for that. And while it's hard to know exactly, if you have food poisoning, which could be caused by a bacteria or a parasite, or if it's a virus, you can go in and get tested. They can do a PCR test, which, again, we heard a lot about. And then you want to drink lots of fluids, stay hydrated, eat soups, bananas, yogurts, things like that, broiled vegetables. All those things can help.
Wow. Well, we are learning something new today. Thank you so much, Nurse Christina, for providing those facts, and we hope you have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.